Hello, goodbye. Hello. Hey, help me! I am not very good at video games.
In Project Zomboid, though,
That's actually a good thing. See, live too long and you'll start to question why you're alive. You're completely alone. Nothing you do will ever impact anyone but yourself and the outside world trapped you in Kentucky in an attempt to contain the virus, but then they all died anyways. So now you're just stuck in Kentucky and completely alone. No matter how many zombies you kill, they just keep coming back, and the hopelessness of it all starts to wear on you. As time goes on, the zombie apocalypse starts to lose its thrill, and just like in modern life, living becomes a routine. Except unlike modern life, you can't relax, you can't aspire to or hope for greater things, and you can't fill your days with friends and romance. Not that you did anyways. As the days go by, you lose your edge and start drifting on autopilot, or you get too confident since the zombies are slow, but that's when you slip up. You get bit once, that's it. In a short while, you'll turn into a zombie, which at least means you'll finally have some friends. If you die any other way, well, there's always a chance an afterlife exists. There is no cure for the zombie infection, and even if there was, there's no one coming to give it to you. Your survival means nothing and benefits no one. You're only doing it because you don't want to die. It's the ultimate test of willpower. Will you finally become the guts that's in your profile picture, or will you stay the waifu-loving weeb you hide behind it? If you play smart, you can live a very long life, but what kind of life is it? You're simply surviving, collecting things to fill the hole in your heart that was once filled with the warmth of those you loved. You've become an animal, but at the very least, animals have the goal to reproduce before they die. You can't even do that. Multiplayer is an entirely different experience. Instead of having an existential meltdown over a prolonged period of time while having to play smart and stealthy, you're conquering each area you go while getting some quality bonding time with your Discord kitten. If there are others around to see what you create or destroy, then everything you do feels more meaningful. Left unattended, the human mind is a terrifying thing, and having people around helps abate your descent into insanity. Eventually, though, even in multiplayer, simple survival will cease to be fulfilling, and you'll go on a murderous rampage, either with your friends against the zombies until you inevitably get bit, or against your friends. No matter how terrible your friends are, though, having them is still a step up from being the only human left. I mean, think about it. In solo, you are the culmination of the entirety of human history. Even worse, there was a time where you knew people, a time where you had hope, but the game takes that away from you. You know what you've lost, you know you can't bring it back, and the small amount of hope that's left only exists to cruelly tempt you to live longer. So technically, the game is meaningless. Why do we play it? Oh, screw you! You're meaningless! Babe, come on. When I said meaningless, I just meant that there's no set goal to achieve. Remember that quote you love? It's not about the destination, it's about the journey? Well, that's what you are. You're the journey, and I love that about you.
Oh, I love you too.
We play Project Zomboid for the journey, and because we humans are very stubborn. We see that message at the start telling us we're definitely gonna die, and we go,
nah, not me. I'm different.
when you then immediately die, you restart, thinking,
Next time it'll be different.
and on it goes. We wouldn't be so motivated to prove that message wrong, though, if the journey wasn't fun, which it mostly is. Just like real life, some of it's fun and some of it isn't, but at the end of the day, it's better than the alternative. Project Zomboid is very much a game where you make your own fun. You're given free reign of an entire state where you can do whatever you want so long as the zombies don't catch you. That kind of sounds like a Mr. Beast video.
I forced my friend to survive the zombie apocalypse, but whatever he has by the end of the challenge, he gets to keep. Why is he grabbing 1984? Shh.
As much as the game can become a boring routine, that's kind of the fault of the player. If you play the game realistically and set yourself up in a safe base with a well-cared-for farm and a way to collect drinking water, you're set to live to a ripe old age. You'll be a pretty damn strong senior citizen too from all that survival stuff. Or I guess just senior, not much of a citizen now, are ya? Although in real life most people want to die old and in bed, they also want to die surrounded by the people they love. That though is something you will never have. What I'm trying to say is there's no inherent value in living longer. You should focus on doing interesting things that make your playthrough fulfilling and fun. Sure, a long playthrough can be fulfilling, but a 50-hour game isn't better than a 10-hour game just because of the length. I mean, size doesn't always matter, it's how you use it. Right? It's all about finding ways to spend your time so you can ignore the crushing loneliness a little longer. And even though you're confined to a single state, Kentucky is pretty big and there's a lot you can do. Start a car collection, defy physics, experiment with fire, enjoy a nice barbecue, don't go to Louisville. So long as you can handle being single forever, you can still live a relatively fulfilling life. Most of us are already well prepared for that. What's harder though is that electricity shuts off about a week in.
That means... oh god, you can no longer navigate to my channel and hit the subscribe button.
On the other hand, League of Legends can't hurt you anymore. If you turn off zombies, you can really see the true extent of your solitude. A school once noisy with students now sits quiet, only the slightest of sounds come as the wind blows through its empty halls. A city that once had over 500,000 people, where a brief moment of quiet was so longingly sought, now only has quiet to give. You will never experience the limerence, flutter of a crush, and you will never be able to act on it. When the zombies are present, your solitude is exacerbated almost to the point of being unbearable. They're frickin' mocking you, they're surrounded by creatures to befriend, and yet they are brainless monsters with no concept of friendship. Also, if you really think about it, killing what was once a human without any hesitation kinda makes you a psychopath. I don't know, I don't feel like a well-adjusted modern person would do that. I guess if you are a psychopath, then isolation would be easier to handle. I know I've been playing a lot of this for laughs, but when you're actually playing the game and don't have my frantic editing, it really is haunting. You can listen to the world descending into chaos until it eventually goes quiet, and once the water shuts off, you'll never hear another human voice in real time again. Since you're quarantined in Kentucky, the demise of humanity only reaches you through broadcasts, which most players won't even notice. Most players assume only Kentucky was infected. I had to redo a ton of this video because I thought that too, but when you finally pay attention to the broadcasts, there's some truly heart-wrenching stuff in there. In most survival games, there's hope. Your son might still be out there, humans still exist, but not in Project Zomboid. I mean, okay, the strongest humans are always able to hold on to some amount of hope, but the virus is airborne and a bite is certain death. It's doubtful many others are immune to the airborne virus, and if they are, not many would survive the hordes. It's an unimaginable loneliness that once you realize it, is impossible to ignore.
Now, this suit is a fraud, and I'm no expert at survival games, but I feel like the more relatable modern setting helps that solitude just hit different, because it feels like a situation that we could maybe find ourselves in.
Zombies specifically might not ever happen, but some other virus could, and it's that thought in the back of your mind that makes this game truly terrifying. After playing, I will vow to at least attempt to find a real girlfriend. Anime girls are great, but at the end of the day, they have a cold, hard body, and no voice with which to escape the silence.
The developers do plan to add NPCs eventually, so the world I've described won't even exist. I think it's ultimately a good decision. Surviving alone in the apocalypse is only fun for so long. It's just more fun to survive with friends, but if those friends were AI that actually cared about role-playing, well, I could see that making Project Zomboid a way more enjoyable game. Not that it isn't already. Being forever alone is a very powerful existential horror, and if you're not getting enough experience with it in real life, then you should try it out in Project Zomboid while you still can.
I got some bark off.
Congrats.
It's good for your health.
Subscribe! 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 Subscribe!